And we're back for another episode of Between Two Beans. How's it going, Kevin?
All good. All good on my end. Busy, but good. The weather's starting to get a little bit nicer out. So that means there's more outside things to do and kind of jump into. But
Yeah,
yeah, things aren't too bad. Busy, but good.
I am really looking forward to doing more stuff outside.
Yeah.
I last year I was it seemed like I was stuck inside a lot besides, when I was no, I was pretty much just stuck
Yeah.
inside all summer long. So I'm looking forward to doing more stuff outside this year. Um, so maybe we'll have to find something with voice related and outside.
There you go. Yeah. We'll brainstorm this. We'll come up with something.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's not bad. We're getting there. Heading into spring a little bit. So
Hmm.
we'll see.
Yep.
But
It's warming up here too. This weekend was beautiful.
yeah.
Uh,
Yeah.
really nice weather. Uh, Today was a little chilly, but still doable, I
Mhm.
guess. So
Yeah. Can't complain, I guess, for April.
yeah.
But yeah, so I guess we'll see how it goes. I guess we'll see. But speaking of seeing, so I always try and come up with these clever segues. But speaking of seeing, we have a
That
pretty
was
cool
a perfect
spilling.
one.
We have a pretty cool spilling the beans this week. Um, this one came again from the Alexa blog, which is just such a good source of information that
It
I can't
is.
help but check it out all the time. Usually every few days, week or so, there's really something that catches my attention on it.
Mm-hmm. Oh,
And this week, it was an op-ed by Ted Zhang, I believe is how you pronounce his name. And he's the vice president of Sengled. And Sengled is one of the first smart lighting companies in that was started in 2012, I believe.
yeah, I believe you're right. Yeah. Yep.
Yeah,
2012.
yeah. And it's just kind of a little piece on some history and the current state of things in voice, particularly lighting, smart lighting, and then where we want to take it in the future. And I really like this article or this piece because it kind of parallels to my experience as well. Because I
Mm-hmm.
using a light
Same.
was pretty much my first, yeah, pretty much my first jump into smart home technology.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So, uh, yeah, it was kind of neat to see that little parallel. But it started off with just on and off, right? So and
Yep.
so, turn my light on, turn my light off, and then it became more integrated with routines, or I'm trying to think. I think Google. I want to be more platform agnostic, and I think Google calls theirs something else. I think Alexa has routines, or Amazon has routines. I think Google has something else. I'll have to do a little more research. That way, I'm not too biased anymore. But I know they have
I
something
can't tell
too.
you what it
Yeah,
is. I
like
I don't even know how.
habits.
I have one, but I don't know how to do it. So
Yeah, I think it's like habits or
I've been
something like
waiting for someone at Google to tell me how to use my Google Home.
that. Oh yeah, yeah. I don't have one. I kind of jumped in on the Alexa side of it, but um, being an Android user, or I flip back and forth every once in a while, it'd be
Mm.
nice to kind of check out another ecosystem as well.
Yeah.
But,
They have some really nice devices as because they partnered up with a lot of different companies. There's obviously the Google Home.
right,
Uh,
right.
I think that's what it's called, just Google Home.
Mhm.
Um, which is more like the Echo shows. But then they partner up with I believe it's Lenovo on a lot of devices, and that's our device. that we have, and it's like it's a widescreen. I want to say 12 inches or so.
Okay.
Yeah, 10 or 12 inches. Um, and it has a huge back end with speakers all around it and stuff like that. So
Hmm.
it's pretty cool.
Nice.
But
Nice.
I just don't know how to use it. And yeah, we got it because my wife wanted one. So I got her one,
Mhm.
and yeah,
Nice. Nice. Such a good husband, you know?
yeah.
Good man. Well, that kind of takes it into the next point, actually, of easier device setup. And this is what he talks about a little bit as well. And that sometimes with the different companies that are out there, you have to download their specific skill and then connect it through that skill and then integrate it in with Alexa or your smart speaker or what have you. And
Mm-hmm.
it's kind of like jumping through hoops a little bit. And then I've
Yeah.
had some lights that I've gotten off Amazon, and I didn't pay attention to make sure they were Alexa compatible, and I had to do some jumping through hoops,
Mm-hmm.
and sometimes the consistency is not there. Sometimes the features aren't there. For example, these lights in the back here that keep going through, all I can do is turn them on and off, but I can't do some of the extra features because they aren't Alexa compatible.
Oh,
So,
okay.
so
Huh.
there's some things to be aware of,
Should have
but
got those Sengled version.
shame on me, shame on me. So,
The one thing I am a huge um, promotion is the Bluetooth mesh line.
okay,
Well, their line. I don't know. I only have one of their lights, but there's other Bluetooth mesh um, lights out there, and it's the easiest to set up.
okay,
All you do is screw it in, open up your Alexa app. You don't even have to go into any other app. You open your Alexa app, and boom, it sees it right
yeah,
away.
that's
So,
the way it should be. Yeah,
uh, uh, reading through this article, it just drove that um, it is the easiest way to set things up. Um, and there is the hub based ones,
hmm
which I have, a ring hub and then I forget what the other one is, but the other kind of camera that Amazon has.
okay.
Um,
So I have the Arlo, and it comes with the hub, and then it gets tied in and all that too. So I know what you're
okay,
saying. I'm just not sure what the Amazon version was. The Blink
yeah,
stuff, or
yeah,
no,
Blink,
maybe not.
yeah, there you
Okay,
go.
yeah, cool.
So,
Yeah.
but you said Arlo, is that the router? No,
Arlo,
that's Elo. I'm thinking
yeah,
of.
yeah, right. That's what you're thinking of.
What's
Arlo is
what's
like I think Arlo's Google now.
Oh, okay,
I think
okay,
maybe they bought them, or maybe that was Nest, or I can't keep it all straight. But
gotcha.
but yeah, so this kind of takes it to the where we are now in this easier device setup stuff. And
Hmm.
then the last part of this article kind of takes it one step further and starts talking about what's next. So getting things like the ambient computing. And everybody talks about ambient computing, but what does it really mean? And how does it relate to the average consumer?
Hmm.
And he explains it pretty well. So he says one of the examples that he gives was crying baby in another room. So the lights would sense when you get up, and it would kind of almost follow you down the hallway
Hmm.
and into that room, to the baby's room, or it would recognize that the kiddo's crying and turn on a nightlight for them, until you get there, that kind of
Yeah,
thing.
yeah,
And to me, that's just the next step. That's
yes.
kind of where it's going. And it really, to my inexperienced mind wouldn't be that difficult. You might have to upgrade maybe a smart light with a little IR sensor or something, or what have you, to do motion sensing or temperature or something like that. But I think we're right on the cusp of some of that. I mean, some of the restrooms or classrooms or whatever that you go into already have these motion sensing lights. So you just take it one step a little bit further, drop that down into the consumer space, and there you go.
There you
So
go.
And it's neat to see the way some of this automation works with voice. You know, you can kind of work them in tandem. So really, really enjoyed this article. Definitely worth your time to check out, for sure.
Do you know what they're talking about with matter? They mentioned this many times.
Yes, and I don't.
Okay.
I looked
because I looked it up. It's something that they released in this last year's live Alexa Live.
Right,
But
right.
I do not remember this talk at all. So I was just wondering if you knew anything about it.
No, that was the same thing. I
Okay.
saw the term come up and I'm like, oh, let me Google this real quick. And I just wasn't able to track down exactly what it meant or what it related to exactly. So yeah, I'm in the same boat on that one. A little more research to do.
Yeah. Huh.
But,
I would agree. It was a really good article. It I could relate to a lot of the stuff through the years of just lights, how the technology has changed and whatnot. So I enjoyed this article.
Yep, and that's just one aspect of the smart home. I mean, another VP of another company could write this same article for another aspect of it. Maybe a garage door opener, a toaster,
or
microwave,
light switches, or
exactly,
or plugins.
Yeah, switches, like the outlet plugs. Yeah. Yep. Yeah, we're getting there. It'd be pretty cool.
Yep, for sure.
So this week we aren't going to do trivia. We're going to give our brains a break a little bit, and I think we'll jump right into our Beaningful conversation.
Which our conversation is going to be pretty good.
Yes, I'm looking forward to this.
I did not read the entire document yet.
Okay.
Because it's huge. Did you actually read the whole entire thing?
So I actually printed it out and read it. Yeah.
Oh wow.
Yeah, I was super into this. This was I mean, this art. Well, it's not an article. It's
document.
A guide. Yeah, like a guide, like an ethical guidelines. I would call it a white paper, basically.
Yeah, there you go.
Of a standard of what we should pay attention to. And when I say we, I mean everyone. So I'm thinking politicians and government for privacy stuff. I'm thinking developers who are implementing these types of permissions and being aware of what's being collected or has the potential to be collected. You know, the end user. So, you know, Graham sitting in her house, you know, what her almost rights and things are, but super well laid out and easily accessible. And by that, I mean easy to read. I mean, there's some technical jargon in here, but it's super easy to jump into. And this needs to be plastered everywhere.
I agree.
Because voice is, like we said, voice is one of the fastest growing technologies right now. And I don't think that some of this has been covered or explored to the point that it needs to be. And so while some of this feels like common sense, until you actually spell it out and give reasoning, facts, statistics behind the why and the how. It's just air. So this is a fantastic guideline. So do you want to jump in and break it down a little bit?
Yeah, just a little about this. We got this from a coworker of mine on Voice Spark Live. Emily, she was on our show here about 3 weeks ago or so.
Yep.
Or maybe it was 4. Yeah, it was in March.
Correct.
That's when it was.
We had her on for her perspective of International Women's Day.
Yeah, and she enlightened us of this document. She had a lot to do with it. I don't know exactly what parts she played in it, but I know she had a lot to do with it. And Open Voice Network is the ones who are fully behind it and are pushing this. I guess the Linux Foundation, I think, is like the top shelf of business. And I believe Open Voice Network is right underneath them. I really don't know exactly how that works, but
right. From what I
but Open Voice Network is like the voice for the ethical guidelines for voice. So they are the company that are really striving, trying to get this in front of the people that need to be seeing this, and just getting the knowledge out there so people can be aware of what their rights are, what they should be doing in developing, what they should be doing to enforce these guidelines or help make these guidelines as a tool for them, whatnot.
Exactly. And from what I gathered a little bit from this as well is the open source aspect of it, and that this is accessible for everybody. These are guidelines that can apply to everyone and anyone. Your big businesses, your big corporations, and your indie developers, and your small teams. I mean, these have these best practices that can apply to every avenue. But let's start off here, and we'll look at the top. Who the guidelines are for and why they matter. Really goes into the privacy aspect of it and the benefits of using voice with the risks as well, because there are risks. Whenever you're taking voice information, you're basically, in a way, taking a recording. And if you scroll down a little bit, there's a table, and it explains and really breaks down how voice can be a privacy issue that needs to be made aware of. So if you look at this table on page 5, the who, what, and how, and then the category, the attribute, and the example. And so it breaks it down. Identification, right? So if I say my name, well, there's my name. If I have an accent, then it can pull that information. If I sound like I'm doing it now, if I sound like I'm very introverted and not bubbly in personality and blah, 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 those are different things that can be identified as well. Male, female, gender, etc. Even age, you can always kind of tell somebody's age by that. And you can really
you can do this. Physical characteristics, height and weight. I don't think you could guess someone's weight, but maybe you could. I'm sure there's a calculation for it.
That's the thing. This document, these guidelines, they really broke down a lot of medical information. About halfway in here, it explains that. Let me actually find the number. It was 6,500 samples were collected from about 6,000 people, and these various algorithms were used to determine which people had Parkinson's and which did not. And they had an 85% accuracy rate.
Wow.
That's incredible. I mean, that is just a side thing of the technology that could be used. But from a privacy standpoint or a biomarker, that's the term that I really picked up from this paper that we need to pay attention to. But it was amazing, just the things that people can pick up on. So coronary artery disease from my voice, I guess. But the best part about this article or this paper is that it has all the sources to back it up. And I've looked through a few of them. I had the opportunity to dig through some of them, and just being a medical guy, it really piqued my interest. It says that extra caution should be utilized when relying on speech emotion recognition. And so this is something that's important for maybe a therapist to be aware of. Or I had started building, I think I maybe mentioned this on stream, I started building this skill that was kind of a voice journal diary type of thing. And potentially I need to be aware of this, because if I'm tracking somebody's, not necessarily tracking, that's the wrong word, but if I'm utilizing somebody's emotional mental state, how can that be brought back? So but yeah, so many different things. Graphics were in here. Governance and compliance. So this starts breaking into what rules, laws, permissions, those types of things need to be upheld. And right now, I think we have very general rules. So of course we have HIPAA, right? Everybody's pretty familiar with HIPAA. So with HIPAA, with voice as it is right now, you have to be aware of what you're saying. So if there's two nurses discussing patient information in the hallway of a hospital, that's kind of a no-no, right? So that's in that specific setting, that kind of thing. But for voice on devices, I think HIPAA, well, absolutely, I know HIPAA applies to that, but we're taking it one step further by being aware of the fact that voice exists, or voice technology exists, that we need to have protections for. And that's what this section, if you scroll down just a little bit more, that's what that section talks about with the governance and compliance and following laws. And it talks about using what exists and then taking it one step further and applying it again to specific voice cases. So yeah, extremely, extremely good. The transparency, I don't know that we do this enough as developers, and this is a conversation that we could have, is that what is on us as far as what information that we're collecting. So again, we talk about like age and things. So if it's a kid's skill, we kind of before you enable that skill, you know that it's a kid's skill, right?
Yes.
So you have that little layer, so to speak. So that type of thing, that's kind of information or a demographic that we're collecting. But this section that says being transparent and being clear about voice data ownership, I thought was interesting. What are we really collecting whenever or what is being potentially collected whenever you use someone's skill? And that's just something extra to think about.
So let's say like for Space Marauders, since I've been into the weeds with what I'm collecting on that. I collect a user's name
Okay.
to use as just to greet them.
Right.
Otherwise, in the future, I don't have it set up yet, but in future, I would just, have a random name picked, right?
Mhm.
And then I also have the email address. So that's
Okay.
pretty, a lot of people don't like to share email addresses all the ways.
Mhm.
But this is one of those things that I know Amazon does pretty well, and they're pretty strict on, is like you have to have it stated in your in well, first you have to actually say, yes, I will give you my email address
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
in the application. You cannot yet do it by voice, but
Right.
I
Right.
believe that's coming.
I'm sure it
or,
is.
or,
Yeah.
or maybe it's already here. I can't remember. I know it wasn't here, so
Mhm.
that's another thing that it's we're just doing by voice.
Yeah. Yeah.
So we're giving authorization to utilize our private information.
Right. Right. And the same thing
So
along.
what do
Okay.
we need to do to notify the user that what we're using it for?
Hmm. Yep. Uh, it's the same thing whenever you use an app on your phone
Mm-hmm.
and say, this information is not going to be sold to a third party, etc. It may be used for marketing purposes if you click this little checkbox or whatever. But when have you done that? When have you clicked a checkbox with your voice? So,
Mm-hmm.
have you ever installed a skill through your Echo device?
Yeah.
So it gives you these
Yeah. I have.
recommendations, and then you do it and you start using it. So
Yeah.
it's different than when you enable a skill on the store
Mm-hmm.
and you can read, what it's doing or these
Yep.
permissions or what have you. So there's that difference there. And this is kind of what this section is starting to break into is how do
Huh.
we address that? Which
Yeah.
is something that we need to think about. Um, it's almost one of those things that, uh, how do I want to say this? Is that because the documentation exists somewhere else, it covers it for now. But is that good enough?
Right.
You know, um, and then taking that one step even further, what do you do when you want to remove your information?
Mm-hmm.
California is big on this right now, in the fact that, and this, I believe this is going to go nationwide, at least here in the States. And I know Europe is very big on privacy as well, or what data is being collected. And so in California, in in the financial world at least, and I think this expands into other places as well, that you are legally able to request a copy of everything that's being collected on you and pull it out. So I know in the financial world, when I was in there, this was when it was starting to take effect, is, for example, mortgages, right?
Mm-hmm.
Any information that they collected on you with your mortgage and whatever, you had this right to know and could delete it at any time. Like
Mm.
you could just wipe it out. I mean, there's so many hooks inside all that data, but you had the ability to pull it out. And so that's what a lot of the system admin stuff that I was doing was working on, was kind of being able to remove that when needed,
Mm.
or pull that information. And then you could check. The big part of that was you could select what was allowed to be utilized and what wasn't. You could really fine tune it, but that's a whole other side story. But it does tie into voice a little bit as
Mm-hmm.
well. Um, You can use my demographic information from my voice to determine what age ranges are playing your game. What age range is playing Space Marauders, and here's how you could pull that data potentially from your voice. Those types of things.
Wow.
Or what location, the states, right? The down south has an accent. I probably have an accent. You probably have an accent. I don't know, but you could get that regional demographic information from somebody's voice like that. So, yeah,
I could definitely see that. And but I mean, besides, for me, I'm thinking like, who would want that specific demographic? I mean, we do already get a decent amount of demographic information from on this not skill store, but the developer portal. So, I don't think I would make something so that I could get even more demographic information. I'll just take whatever I'm given to me. You know what I mean?
Right.
But I'm sure there is many other people that are thinking like, oh, I want it all. So
So here's the next step on that. And this is where you start getting down into like page 15, about halfway through this document, is the use a voice anonymizer whenever possible. So that's something I kind of thought happened regardless in a way, was that it pulled. So I know we talked about voice profiles in the past, right? Like Kevin says something and you say something and it knows the difference between our voices. Use a voice anonymizer whenever possible. And this makes sense to me, so that your privacy is protected, so that you're just pulling out words and not pitch or tone or pacing, those types of things.
Gotcha.
I think that's what that was talking about there. And it makes sense for keeping things private. If you don't, like you just said, if you don't need that information, then why gather it?
Yeah.
So deleting personal voice data when it's fulfilled that purpose makes sense. And this part here, allowing people to easily access and delete their personal voice data at any time. So that's, I guess, when I use a skill that's hosted by Amazon and everything, it's a little different and protected in certain ways, utilized in certain ways than maybe Walmart or Disney. One of the big ones is using some voice data.
Right.
So having a process in place for accidental data processing. So because personal voice data can be recorded and stored and processed without knowledge and consent, if a device is accidentally activated by a word similar to its wake word. I remember when I first got my Alexa device, and this was years ago at this point, there were times when I would accidentally set it off. I don't know that the wake word that I used, which was Alexa, it wasn't as fine-tuned maybe, or it wasn't as sharp with the part and the Alexa, like it didn't pick it up as well as it could have. Or if I was having a conversation with my wife and said something similar to it, it might have picked it up. And it's still, every once in a while, I have that happen too.
Yeah.
But, then it's recording or I guess recording, we'll call it recording.
Yep.
Your next phrases, even if you weren't speaking to it. So that's where this accidental data processing. So need to be aware of that as well.
I want to look at some of those logs. because you can on you can look at the logs on your phone.
Mhm.
I don't know if you can with Google.
I'm
But
sure I would think that you could, but yeah, I
yeah,
don't know for sure. Yeah.
just like when the times it comes on and it is like, oh, did you know that blah 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 blah, and we're like, Alexa, just screaming at it and exit, exit, exit. I
Yep.
think the logs would be pretty funny to read, but in all seriously, it is a real thing, and it needs to be acknowledged.
Yep. Absolutely. Absolutely. The next major section of this talks about inclusivity. So, different things, like it talks about a boy named Caden.
Inclusivity, I think we already covered that.
Page 16. It was kind of
Oh yeah.
a major point here, but it talks about Caden, who has cerebral palsy and he can't really walk or talk, and is blind, and can only use his pinky finger on his left hand. So, inclusivity with the voice. His Echo Show was set up so that he could ask for things such as the news or a joke and keep in touch with family. But he's been using that that type of technology, but beyond its intended use, calling his grandfather through the Echo Show to ask if they could go for a car ride. So using voice not just for able-bodied, but maybe some disabled or additional accessibility. We did touch upon some of that accessibility. Inclusivity also includes things like connecting somebody to an emergency service or a hotline type of thing.
Yep.
There's translation services that are out there too, which I've seen. I want to say it's Google on their Pixel 6 and Pixel 6 Pro has real-time audio translation. So if I'm, and then it'll put the words on the screen in the other language. So if I'm speaking English and you're speaking Spanish, I can say it in English and it will spit it out in Spanish real time.
Wow.
Yeah. So again, everybody thinks that this is just, I mean, this is what voice technology is. This is just a subset of voice technology. And so it's important to keep in mind that big picture. And this is what this article, this guide does. So really, really good. We talk a little bit more about consent and enable. This is good too. And I'm glad they brought this up, because I don't think that sometimes this gets the attention that it needs. And it is assemble diverse teams to design and develop voice experiences. Okay.
Oh yeah.
So,
what
I mean,
way much needed.
Yep. We even see maybe some of this at where we work, right? If we're all spread out all across the country, the way I may say something is completely different than the way you may say something. I said about accents, but there's also even terminology and jargon.
Words.
Exactly, that get used that are different. So
I just had this little tidbit. I actually not to toot my own horn, but when I was making Space Marauders, I one thing I looked into getting different words, different sayings of trash. So I say trash or garbage,
right.
but over in or across the pond, they might say rubbish or a rubbish bin.
Yes.
And stuff like that. So I included those words into my skill, so they could still utilize the normal word they would say.
Exactly.
Uh,
Exactly.
so that was a perfect example. At least
One
I
of,
thought it was a perfect example.
yep. Yep. I'm along the same lines. One of my favorite just differences is aluminum and
Hmm.
allium. If you've heard that one before, that's always a nice one. But being from Western Pennsylvania, I guess we have words that aren't used in other places. I don't know if it's true or not, but
I think
uh,
so.
if
I
I,
think you said a few.
yeah, yeah. So I need this diversity. I need
Hmm.
Western Pennsylvania represented in my voice technology, so
Yeah,
that
for sure.
when I'm saying all these goofy words, it knows what I'm talking about. So
Yep.
I'll have to get a list of all of them, but I know there's a few out there that I've used that people kind of look at me funny. They're like, "Wait, what? Oh, okay, okay." So, but yeah, just keeping diversity in mind. Even things I know they go into racial bias as well,
Hmm.
which is important. You know,
Yes.
proper training and education of these teams. That way, that you're aware of these differences and can be inclusive. Definitely doing testing. I think that's important as well. You need a lot of data in order to make sure that your skill or your feedback to the user is appropriate.
Hmm.
I don't think that you just want to assume based on a small data set that everybody's on the same page with what's being output. I think
Yep.
that it needs to really cover all the bases, and that's one of the points that's in here as well. So it talks a little bit more about education, different stereotypes. Uh, you know, this was interesting too because it said because the majority of personal assistant bots such as Siri, Alexa, and Cortana are perceived to be female, it sends the signal that women are obliging, docile, and easy to please helpers that are available at the touch of a button or with a blunt voice command like hey or okay. So
Wow.
I'll be honest, I didn't think of it like this. And this is a
Yeah.
detriment of myself, but I didn't really think of it that way. I did kind of think of Siri and Alexa and Cortana, well, definitely Cortana, but as kind of female-ish, just because
Hmm.
of the soft tones and the
Yeah.
kind of female voice, right? But you can change the voice. You
Hmm.
could make it gender neutral or non-binary, or I think the example they used was Sam. It could be male, female, or whatever.
Right.
So it's kind of that way of mitigating gender bias, which
Hmm.
is important to think about as well. So I'm so impressed, and I can't help it, but I'm just so impressed with how in depth this or how detailed this guide goes,
Hmm.
but still keeps it at a very high level that's easy to understand.
Yeah,
You know,
for sure.
again, like I
And
said at the
there's so many great examples in here uh,
yes, yeah,
that kind of brings it to almost anyone's level.
mhm. Yeah, you're absolutely right. It does. It makes it easily accessible for everyone. It's yeah, it's not full of scientific jargon that you kind
Hmm.
of get lost in. So
Exactly.
even the graphics were super easy to just look at and understand what was really going on. So super impressed with this. I can't say that enough. I think a lot of work went into this, um, with all the different resources they utilized. They talked about medical stuff, law. There were multiple law articles that they cited in
Hmm.
here that really help give fact and statistics. And when you deal with law, you kind of deal with real world examples. And so it was nice to see some of that, not just um, what I call common sense, or not just a way of thinking, but this is why it is the way that it is. So
Ah, gotcha. All
makes
right.
sense. Yep.
Cool.
But if you scroll down towards the end here, there's a small call to action section. which I think is a great way to end this guide. It says, start small, raise awareness about voice technology, and educate yourself.
For sure.
So, yeah, extremely well done. It did go into a little bit about the Open Voice Network down at the bottom, and that's kind of where you had explained that it was open source and they kind of work interoperable with everyone to kind of make this, a level playing field.
Yep.
So, really, really good. The reference list, I think, was like 3 or 4 pages long. It was fantastic. So
nice. Yeah,
yep.
It's huge.
Yep. So
well done.
Well done. Perfect. So, anything else that you wanted to bring up with this?
I don't think so.
Okay. Cool.
We did give it a high view of it. There's a lot more information in there. I encourage everyone to read it. It pertains to almost everyone out there, so it's something that we should all read. I definitely wanted to read more of it. I just didn't have the time. I was more skimming it and making sure I knew I wasn't going to be a complete fool tonight. So, but yeah, it's good document.
Yeah, I agree. It's one of those things that if you've ever been in the office and things, and they have like the big HR board on there that tells you all the workman's rights and all that stuff and all the rules and pieces and parts. I feel like this should be right there with it.
Oh yeah, for sure.
The ethical guidelines of voice technology. So
Whether
or not you're working in voice, you can still apply a lot of this stuff to it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, even in our web technologies that we deal with every day.
Yeah.
There's voice with that. So
Absolutely. Yeah, I'm impressed with this. I read it, and parts of it I skimmed over because I was more interested. I'm like, oh, I need to keep in mind this medical fact that I wanted to look up later or what have you. And so I went back to it, reread this, and looked at it in depth, and it clicks. I really like this. I can't say enough good things about it. Well done.
Nice.
Well done.
Yeah, so. I definitely will have to rethink the way I present how I'm using everyone's data.
Yeah. And that's okay. This is the last. I could keep going, but this is the last thing I'll say is that it doesn't shame anyone.
No.
It doesn't say like, this is bad because of this, and this, and these people in the past did this, and it shouldn't be like that anymore. This is just here's the facts. This is why, and this is the best practice in how you should move forward. So yeah, really good.
Yep.
But yeah, this might be worth a revisit again too, to see if there's any revisions or updates and whatnot. So
yeah,
cool.
I'm dumb.
Sounds good. Did you have a bean of the week this week?
I did. I stole it from our spilling the beans.
Nice.
I almost I have it right here. It is a Sengled light bulb.
Perfect.
I just don't remember where it is in my house. So,
yeah.
So Sengled, I was looking into them more after reading this article, and they have a lot of normal light bulbs. They have these colored ones. there is the LEDs like you have in the back, the strips.
Yes.
They have those. They have the big can lights. So
Okay.
above me are cans.
Mhm.
Can't really see them, but they're there. Um, yeah, pretty much every type of light bulb you can think of, they
Yeah.
got. And what I liked about these is, like I said before, is they're Bluetooth. They're
Yeah.
plug and play, and you can't get any nicer than that. Um, the only thing that I do not like about these Bluetooth lights is if you have a crap ton of lights,
Okay.
and which I mean, like down here, I have so I have 4, 8, 10, 12. I think 12 lights down here.
Okay.
And they were at one point in time, they were all these Bluetooth lights. So
Yeah.
my list of lights
Oh,
was
yeah. I
huge
see. I see what
on
you're
the
saying.
app. I had a big long list of lights. Um, but I
Yeah.
reconfigured some things so I don't have that big of a list. But
Yeah.
that's the only downside.
Okay. I could see that.
Besides being very easy to use and a great light bulb, these Sengled lights
Hmm.
are on par with Philips.
Okay. Oh, that's high praise.
That's what I have a lot of is Philips, but these are definitely on par with them.
Hmm. Hmm. I don't have
So,
anything. I don't have anything dimmable. I mean, the
mm,
strip lights that I have here,
yeah,
they will dim. Like I have a remote here, and I can, 25% them or
okay.
100% them, that kind of thing. But I don't have any light bulbs that are dimmable, and I could see. I really need to jump on that because I could see the advantage of that. Maybe TV watching or just
Oh yeah.
almost as a hallway night light kind of thing for the kids. So I
Our
need to look into it.
our living room is pretty much all dimmable.
Hmm.
I think these are dimmable, but I don't ever dim them.
Yeah.
But I have a weird switch on these ones, so we don't talk about this switch.
Right.
But
Or Bruno. We don't talk about Bruno either.
no, yeah. But my living room, yeah, they're all pretty much all dimmable. So that's kind of nice to have them, not so bright
Mhm.
all the time.
Yeah. Well, good.
But
Good.
that is mine.
I
I
like
did
it.
share. Did I share it?
Yep.
I don't think I
Yep.
shared it.
Oh, it's
No,
on
I
the
did.
screen. Sorry. I was looking at the stream screen. Yeah. Well, we talked about the weather being nice, right? At the top of the stream. And I
Yeah.
was able to get outside with the family this weekend. And we went to one of the local parks that's in the area.
Okay.
And it's called Buttermilk Falls, right? And it's like less than 3 miles from my house. But what makes it kind of neat is, do you know Mr. Rogers, right? The Mr. Rogers neighborhood and all
Yep.
that.
Yep.
His grandfather grew up at this place.
Okay.
So it's right down the road. I mean, we could walk to it if we wanted to, but Fred Rogers spent a lot of time here as a kid, and they recently got a grant and upgraded just everything. The pathways, and there's a nice bridge, lots of handrails and whatnot. But it's super pet friendly. Good for the kids because it's fairly flat. There's a couple little steep places and a lot of steps, but
Okay.
it's got a nice little waterfall. So after a
Yeah, I
good
saw the
rain,
waterfall. That's awesome.
yeah, after a good rain, it's worth going. It just has this like naturey outdoors smell, and you can actually go underneath that falls.
Oh
So
wow. Nice.
Yeah, it's a really nice place, and because it's so close, we go to it quite a bit. So they actually closed it during COVID-19, like when the height of COVID was there,
Uh-huh.
because just everyone was going because it
Oh.
was outdoors and
Mhm.
you could kind of social distance a little bit, but it just got too crowded. So they actually closed it for a
Gotcha.
little bit. But it's kind of neat that Fred Rogers kind of grew up there. So
That is neat.
yeah.
Mr. Rogers was a Marine.
Oh yeah?
Yeah. You didn't know that?
I did know that. Yeah. Yep.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I knew his whole history and all that stuff. Yeah.
Nice.
Just yeah, he grew up like 30 minutes from my house, and his grandfather grew up just right down the road. So
Huh.
yeah, pretty cool. Pretty cool.
Yeah, neat.
Nice place. There's a couple hiking trails around there, and uh, geocaches. Are you familiar with geocaching?
Yeah.
Yeah, they have a couple of
I never
them.
got into it, but I'm familiar with it.
Yeah, yeah. The kid likes it because he just takes a little treasure and puts one in, takes one, whatever. But
Okay.
yeah, that's
So
my
you guys do it as a family or
yeah,
what?
yeah, yeah.
Neat.
Sometimes it'll just be him and I. Sometimes it's a whole family thing, but we'll go around and find them. So, but
Cool.
Buttermilk Falls, that's my
Neat.
bean of the week. It's a nice little oasis, secret place. So,
Yeah.
yep.
I like it.
Now the weather's getting nice.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Got me
but
excited.
yeah,
We don't have anything like this around here.
no,
We have lot of a lot of trails. That's one thing I think they do really well around here is tons and tons and tons of trails.
hmm.
But um but most of them are just flat, and there is one near I think there's not a river but like a creek or a creek
Crick,
depending
crick.
on where
Yep.
you're from.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
another one of those things.
yeah.
uh um Also there it's weird. So our area is real. I don't know if you know around Chicagoland, but it's very swampy. The
Yeah.
entire area was built on a swamp. But this one area, it's up a hill, away from the swamp, and it's pretty flat up there, and it feels really like a desert.
Oh yeah.
It's
Huh.
weird.
It's like a whole
Very
different climate.
open, and like the even the grass and the trees are like different. It's
Mhm.
just weird.
Huh.
So I call that the desert, a walk. Everywhere else is like trees and um swamp.
Nice.
But
Huh.
uh yeah, it's neat.
Yeah. Yeah. It's nice to have your own little place every once in a while.
Hmm.
But well, cool, cool. Well, I think for next week we'll have to come up with something outdoorsy voice.
Yeah,
We'll give it some thought. If
yeah,
anybody watching this or in chat or anything has any ideas, let us know. We'll
yeah,
definitely
please.
we'll tackle them. So, but that's all I had. I don't know if you had anything else. You
Yeah,
know,
I do not have anything else. Oh no, I do have something else.
oh,
Um, uh, I think I could share this.
sure.
I mean, it's not 100% like public knowledge. But I mean, people are joining it, so there's a Discord for Alexa Games.
Oh yeah.
That um I think you joined it. I I sent you an invite.
Oh, okay. I saw you sent the invite, and I'm like, what is this one? Okay.
So it's official Alexa Games Discord channel.
Huh.
So this is not just for developers. Developers are going to have their own like area, which
Yeah,
is
like
pretty
a
cool.
channel or something. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
But this is for players, developers, anyone that is into Alexa games.
Huh.
So everyone is welcome. It's just getting started. Like I said, that and yeah, hopefully people will think it's a good thing and utilize it.
Yeah, for
Um,
sure. Hmm.
I hope so,
Yeah,
because
maybe.
I'm going to stop being on Twitter. So
Yeah,
there's that. So you won't hear me on Twitter anymore.
there you go.
We're not going to get into that though. We're
Right,
not
right, right.
going to have it as a meaningful conversation. It's just not
Yeah.
going to be talked about. It's kind of like we don't talk about Bruno.
Who's Bruno? Yeah, I'm gonna definitely. I'll have to accept that invite. I know I got it, and I looked at it. I'm like, wait, what is this one?
Yeah,
So
yeah,
I'll have to look at that, and maybe
yep,
we'll bring it up on stream next week or something, and kind of dig through anything if there's
yeah,
something worth talking about for it. But
yeah.
until next week,
All
take
right.
care, everybody.
Bye, everyone.